The sun over Earth shone dimmer than Ela remembered. Or maybe it was just the haze, the dust, smoke, and broken satellites slowly falling out of orbit. From the bay window of the Terran Diplomatic Corps Tower in Nairobi, the world looked tired. Not defeated. Not yet. But tired in a way that only starvation and betrayal could explain. She pulled off her gloves, letting the filtered air sting her bare hands. The council meeting had ended 30 minutes ago. Another plea. Another denial. Another calm, measured dismissal from the so-called enlightened races. Ela Ramirez had spoken with every ounce of restraint she could summon. The humans, she had argued, had complied. They had traded, negotiated, offered culture, labor, even soldiers. Earth had sacrificed, bled, and rebuilt. And still, the sanctions grew. You consume too rapidly, the Cellari ambassador had said. You reproduce without restraint, added the Zekari chancellor, who had hatched only 2 offspring in 5 centuries. You destabilize the equilibrium, Overlord Tharn concluded. We admire your tenacity, Commander Ramirez. But your kind has yet to master control. And with that, the motion to maintain the energy blockade passed. Earth would receive no trade shipments for the next fiscal cycle, an alien measurement of 31 Earth months. She stepped away from the glass and walked briskly through the corridor, her boots clicking against the polished stone like the ticking of a doomsday clock. When she reached the communications lift, her aide was waiting. Commander, the young woman greeted. The president's speech is starting. Let him talk, Ela muttered. He's good at that. The auditorium was packed, mostly with diplomats and council-appointed observers. The president stood beneath the faded Earth flag, his face composed, voice steady. We are grateful to our galactic partners, he said. These are challenging times. But Earth stands firm in cooperation and dialogue. Ela tuned him out. She glanced around. Council dignitaries watched with polite indifference. A Cellari twitched its mandibles approvingly. 2 Lurkinian representatives whispered translations into their neurocuffs. No one here cared about Earth. Not really. The speech wasn't for the starving billions. It was for them, those who held the levers and smiled as the machine crushed. She stood, drawing attention. A few gasps followed. She walked out, slowly, not bothering to acknowledge the murmurs. Later, in her private command module, she locked the doors and turned on the blackout field. The room dimmed, leaving only a soft blue glow from the interface panel. She keyed in her override code. A terminal flickered to life with encrypted files. One caught her eye. Transmission logs from Mars Orbital Station 9. The signal was broken, almost unreadable. It had come from an old Accord relay drone. She leaned in, enhanced the audio, and listened. Final enforcement. Target. Earth planetary shield grids. Initiate pacify. Ela froze. Computer. Trace source. Unable to locate. Transmission scrubbed at origin. A tactical strike on Earth's planetary shield? It was suicide. Even the Accord wouldn't. No. They would. If Tharn had calculated that Earth was nearing the edge of collapse, he would act to break them completely. She tapped into the encrypted channel reserved for command priority. Admiral Kauri. I need 10 minutes. His voice crackled in reply. If this is another diplomatic rant, Ela. It's not. We're being targeted. I need clearance to mobilize a recon team to Karen's Edge. There was silence, then a sigh. We don't have the fuel, the ships, or the time for another stunt. What proof do you have? I intercepted an Accord drone transmission. Tharn's launching something called Operation Pacify. I'll bring it to the Council, Kauri said. By the time they debate it, Earth will be ash. Commander, do not act on your own. That's a direct order. The line cut. Ela stared at the console. She didn't move for a long moment. Then she reached into a drawer and pulled out a small, worn patch, faded red, edges frayed, a child's name embroidered in careful stitching. Sophia. She placed it gently on the desk, then stood. Her voice was quiet but unshakable. They'll remember us. Even if we go down screaming. On Delvener, the Accord's central world, the council chamber spiraled into heated debate. Tharn stood motionless in the center, his slender hands folded behind his back. The holographic projection of Earth's energy consumption numbers floated before the chamber. Humanity, Tharn began, is like a superheated reactor. Capable of greatness, but always seconds from overload. An Uxery ambassador shifted uneasily. They've shown creativity. Passion. Some even say what do they call it, music, touches the soul. Passion is not policy, Tharn said coldly. Their art distracts. Their will disrupts. A few nodded in agreement. He turned, projecting the orbital shield schematic. This relay controls Earth's planetary defenses. A precise overload will not destroy them, but it will disable their autonomy. We replaced their leadership with a council-friendly administration. Peaceful. Bloodless. Efficient. And if they resist? One asked. Tharn smiled faintly. Then we remind them they are but one world in 1,000. Back on Earth, Ela stood at the edge of the Nairobi spire, wind tugging at her coat. Below, the lights of a starving city flickered, trying to hold back the dark. Her comm pinged. Message received, classified, redacted relay trace match. Location, Karen's Edge. The council hadn't just planned it. They were already moving. She closed the file. She'd begged. She'd reasoned. She'd waited for justice from those who never intended to offer it. No more. She turned, walking toward the hangar. Time to remind the galaxy why they should never have cornered humanity. The hangar lights buzzed faintly as Ela stepped inside, her boots echoing against the cold titanium floor. Row after row of decommissioned ships sat in silence, relics of an era when Earth still believed it belonged among the stars. Most were gutted for parts. One wasn't. Docked near the rear, half hidden beneath scaffolding and dust, was the Resolute, an old stealth corvette, long forgotten after the Jovian conflicts. Ela approached the hull, trailing her fingers along the scorched plating. The scars hadn't been repaired. Good. They were honest. She opened a private channel. Vajia. I need you. Meet me in Dock 12. The reply came almost instantly. You're not dragging me into another borderline mutiny, are you? This one's not borderline. A pause. Then, on my way. Vajia arrived in 20 minutes. Short, wiry, and twitching with nervous energy, she wore augmented visors and a patched-up exosuit. Her hair was buzzed on one side, dyed copper red on the other. Cybernetic ports lined her neck. You're seriously activating this? She said, squinting at the ship. It's a graveyard. Why not hijack something with working shields? It has stealth plating. We won't survive a direct run. This needs to be quiet. Who's the we in this suicide note? I'm pulling a crew. Small. Fast. Vajia crossed her arms. You got a death wish, Commander? No, Ela said. I've got orders to disobey. They found Cal drinking alone in a bar on the lunar rim. He looked exactly how Ela remembered, tired, scarred, and unmistakably dangerous. I thought you swore off war, she said. Cal took a long drag from his flask before answering. I swore off taking orders. But if you're asking me to pick a fight on my own terms, it's not a fight. It's a one-shot. He leaned forward. How bad is it? They're about to fry Earth's shield grid. We hit the relay before they flipped the switch. Cal stood. Say no more. Kintal was the wildcard. A former Ricari diplomat, he'd defected to Earth after witnessing a council-ordered massacre on a neutral moon. Ela tracked him to an observatory near Saturn's rings, where he spent his days painting nebulae. You want me to betray my species again? He asked as they walked among his art. I want you to help stop genocide. Kintal studied her. You think a broken warrior, a drunk, a hacker, and a traitor can save a planet? No, Ela said. I think we're the only ones who will try. He smiled, sad and knowing. Then let's go. The Resolute launched under stealth protocols, slipping between orbital traffic like a shadow. No one noticed its departure. No one was watching Earth anymore. The galaxy had already written them off. Inside the cockpit, Vajia rerouted power to external dampeners. Cal ran a weapons diagnostic. Quintal reviewed the star charts, adjusting the vector to avoid known Council patrols. Ela sat in the command chair, silent. ETA to Karen's Edge? She asked. 31 hours, Quintal replied. Assuming we don't get vaporized on arrival. Optimism suits you, Cal muttered. Halfway through the journey, a sudden jolt threw them sideways. Alarms rang. We're caught in a particle cloud, Vajia shouted, stabilizing the engines. Residual trace from a Council patrol. They passed here an hour ago. Ela's eyes narrowed. Did they see us? No active scans. But we've got a problem. Our radiation shielding's bleeding energy. We'll show up like a flare if anyone's watching. Can you patch it? Barely. Cal leaned back in his seat. Great. So we're flying a glowing trash can toward the most fortified relay in Accord space. Then we stay fast and unpredictable, Ela said. They expect fear. Give them recklessness instead. They passed the final drift marker near the Karen system's edge. The relay was visible now, massive, angular, suspended like a blade over the black. It shimmered with artificial gravity fields and high-orbit sentry drones. This was where the galaxy's invisible hand did its work, moving fleets, rerouting enforcement, keeping rebellious worlds in check. No one touched Karen. Until now. Vajia stood from her console. I've got something. Encrypted channels bouncing off the relay's subspace grid. One of them matches the transmission we intercepted. Ela's heart pounded. They're about to move. She turned to the crew. Once we breach, we won't have long. Get in. Trigger the overload. Get out. Cal cracked his knuckles. Sounds like old times. Quintal looked uneasy. If we fail, Earth dies. Ela didn't flinch. Then we don't fail. Hours before the strike, the crew gathered in the ship's galley, lit only by a single overhead light. The food was cold. No one ate. Ela pulled a small recorder from her pocket. This isn't for us. It's for the ones we leave behind. She pressed record. If you're hearing this, we didn't make it. But we tried. That has to count for something. They told us we were irrational. Wild. Broken. But we're still here. Still human. And no one gets to erase that. She paused, looking up at them. They want us to go quietly. To vanish. But we don't vanish. We burn. Remember that. She ended the recording. Cal raised his flask. To the last line. They all drank. As the Resolute approached the outer perimeter of the relay, the ship's stealth plating flickered from stress. Alarms stayed low, whispers of danger just beneath the surface. Ela gripped the console. Her voice was steady. Activate infiltration protocol. Locked and loaded, Vajia said. This is going to fry every circuit we've got. Just get us close enough. Cal grinned, strapping in. I love this part. The stars narrowed. The relay grew. No turning back. The Resolute sliced through the outer perimeter of the relay's defense grid with a ghost silence. The crew held their breath as they coasted beneath the rotating array of sentry drones. One wrong move, one flicker of unshielded emission, and the relay would unleash a security protocol with no delay, no warning, only fire. Inside the command deck, the tension hung like static. We're in shadow, Vajia whispered. No alerts. Yet. Ela watched the colossal station loom closer. It was an impossible shape, all obsidian arcs and burning blue cores, suspended by gravity wells and arrogance. Bring us to docking ring 12, she ordered. Closest point to the central fusion conduit. Cal was already suited up, loading plasma charges into a reinforced sling. We go in quiet or loud? Ela strapped on her exo-armor. Quiet until it can't be. The docking sequence finished without a hitch, too easy. They slipped through a maintenance corridor, weapons low, steps muffled by shock-absorbent boots. The relay pulsed around them, alive with alien power. Lights flickered with no rhythm humans could understand. Language carved into the walls shifted like oil on water. Quintal glanced uneasily at the symbols. These wards, they're not just security. This place isn't designed for visitors. Good, Ela said. We didn't come to visit. They reached a junction. Beyond it, down 4 levels, lay the fusion chamber, the relay's heart. Cut that, and the network would stall across 300 sectors. Vajia accessed the terminal. Her hands moved fast, sweat streaking down her neck. I can loop the surveillance feed for maybe 12 minutes. After that, we're blind. Ela nodded. Start the clock. They descended into the heat. Every step brought them deeper into a place that wasn't meant to be seen by organic eyes. Machines buzzed softly in walls that breathed. Energy pulsed beneath glass floors, burning brighter as they neared the core. It was unnervingly silent. Then came the first resistance. A squad of Accord security units, semi-organic sentinels, turned a corner. Too fast to hide. Too close to run. Ela didn't hesitate. Drop them. Cal opened fire. The corridor lit with blue-white pulses as the sentinels reeled and fell. Their deaths weren't loud. Just efficient. But now, the relay knew. All systems blinking red, Vajia said. We've got 10 minutes before a kill response kicks in. Ela glanced at Quintal. You still with me? He raised his weapon. To the end. The fusion chamber roared with sound, raw power flowing through crystalline cores the size of transport ships. Massive pylons arced in slow motion, suspended by graviton tethers. A central control panel hovered in the air, guarded by a kinetic barrier. This is it, Vajia breathed. I can override the controls, but I'll need cover. Cal took point, crouched behind a pylon. Quintal moved opposite, scanning the upper catwalks. Ela joined Vajia at the terminal. Tell me you can fry it. Vajia's fingers danced. I can inject a surge loop into the primary field. It'll collapse the relay's subspace coherency. Communications go dark. Fleet logistics stall. You'll get your 6 days. Do it. The panel blinked. Symbols rotated. Vajia worked faster. The ceiling exploded. A shockwave threw Cal across the platform. Sentinels dropped from above, sleek, spined creatures of metal and nerve. One landed hard on Vajia's console, shattering the projection. Ela grabbed her sidearm and fired 3 shots into its chest, dragging Vajia back. Sparks rained down. Alarms howled. They knew! Quintal shouted, blasting another attacker. Tharn was waiting! Finish the override! Ela yelled. I can't! Vajia pointed at the core regulator behind a sealed barrier. Manual surge key, inside that panel! Ela didn't wait. She sprinted across the catwalk as plasma bolts tore into the floor behind her. The shield around the regulator flickered. She drove her shoulder into the barrier. It held. Cal charged in from the other side, slamming a detonator to its base. Get back! He roared. The charge blew. The barrier collapsed. Cal didn't move. He stood in the fire, chest heaving, eyes locked on the sentinels pouring in behind him. I'll hold them, he said. Cal. Go! Ela nodded once, then turned. He emptied his rifle as she dove into the regulator chamber. Inside, the hum was deafening. Energy arced like lightning over the surge core. Ela found the manual key, a crystalline spike suspended above the capacitor. Vajia! Ready? Her voice came through the comms, faint but clear. On your mark. Ela gripped the spike and twisted. The surge activated. The relay screamed. Power flooded back through the system in reverse, a cascading overload that rippled through every subspace node, blacking out channels, scrambling command links, frying navigation. Outside, ships across the Accord lost contact. Orders stopped. Fleets drifted. Control fractured. Back on the Resolute, a failsafe activated. The farewell message Ela had recorded, the one she never meant to send, began broadcasting on all open frequencies. Her voice echoed into every sector, every species, every system that had ever looked down on Earth. If you're hearing this, then we did what we had to. You called us broken. You called us dangerous. You were right. But you forgot we remember. You took our skies, our food, our families, but not our will. And now, even if we burn, you will remember what we looked like when we stood. On Delvener, Overlord Tharn stared at the blank transmission screen in silence. Chaos spread across the chamber. Ambassadors shouted, pointing fingers, demanding answers. Tharn said nothing. He had underestimated them. Not their weapons. Not their ships. Their spirit. Quintal dragged a wounded Vajia back to the escape corridor. Ela followed, limping, her arm torn and slick with blood. They reached the docking port. The Resolute was there, shielded, systems already rebooting. Cal was gone. His signal went dark during the second wave. No one spoke. Ela launched the sequence. As the corvette surged away from the relay's imploding structure, the final overload ruptured the core. A silent shockwave pulsed outward, brief and brilliant, before fading into the void. 3 days later, Earth's orbit cleared. Council patrols had vanished. Ela stood on the balcony of Mars Prime, arm in a sling, body aching. The red horizon shimmered as orbital systems came back online. Humanity had survived the blow. Not through submission, but defiance. A soft chime announced a message. It was from the Accord. A formal request for renegotiation. Not a reprimand. An invitation. Ela stared at it for a long time. Then she smiled, just slightly. Behind her, the Earth flag waved in gravity-engineered wind. "We're still here," she whispered. "Now they know why."